So hello everybody, good evening. It's wonderful to see you all today. So with us we have today Joanne. Joanne, am I spelling it right?
Yeah, it's Juan.
Joanne. So yeah, she's been unschooling her twins. They're 7.5 years old now. Yes. So she's unschooling her 7.5 year old twins. And yeah, let's listen to her journey from her own words. So welcome, Joanne. It's wonderful having you here. So let's start at the beginning. So, I don't know, did this unschooling concept was there in your mind from before? When did it start? When did this seed of unschooling was planted in your head?
So the term was new
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't know what we were doing is called unschooling, homeschooling, or what. I don't think we are yet to label ourselves in any way, but the journey was from the beginning. I think it started right at the time when I was pregnant with them,
Mm-hmm.
because that was when I and my husband we started questioning everything. I mean, from the food we eat to the medication to the society we live in and what kind of life we want for us and for our family, like for our kids. So this is what started long back when I was pregnant, and since then it has just evolved into this. And yeah, it was a slow process. It was not something that we decided one day and said that this is the right fit for us and let's do this. um, but yes,
Okay,
I would
now
say it was there from the beginning. Yeah.
okay, let's go back to when they were born and they were around 2.5 years old. That's when the whole schooling system starts. So what happened when they were 2 or 2.5 years old or three, when everyone was sending their kids to school, and what did you do?
Exactly, that happened, that everyone around us, everyone that we knew started asking us that your children have turned 2 and they need to go to school. And I was not sure. I mean, um, I knew that children go to school when they are 3.5 for nursery. So that was like long way back when we went to school. And that's how you remember that your cousins went to school when they were 3 and all that. And then suddenly I was having kids and I was told that kids go to school at 2, and I was like, they can't, because they're just learning to speak. They're not even a fully formed person yet. Their mind is still evolving. They're still learning the linguistic skills. They aren't equipped to handle something on their own. How can I send them to school? They hardly, I mean, when they are at home, we hardly understand everything they say. I mean, half of it is guesswork. They are babbling and they are just learning new words. How will I be able to send them to an unknown space for a few hours and then have them back and know what happened to them, with them, in that time? So neither me nor my husband were comfortable sending them to a school. I mean, I would have different notions if we were in a small village where we knew everything. I mean, in a small village like where I live right now, all the teachers. I mean, even if they are not your child's class teacher, all the teachers because they all live in the same village. The headmistress, who's the peon, everyone. So this is not the case in the cities, right? So I wasn't comfortable with that. Not, I mean, I also knew of, how teachers change and the politics that goes behind the scenes in schools and all such things. So we both were not comfortable with that. Initially, we were not comfortable not being with our kids when they were so vulnerable. And we decided, okay, no, 2 is not the right, 2.5 is not the right age. When they're 3.5, and generally kids used to go to nursery, is when we would even consider sending them to school. And we took that first decision of, keeping them at home and letting them just be. At home, it was just keeping them happy with toys, books, singing, cooking, and all the usual home life.
I guess at
And
two,
at
just
3 and
keeping ourselves sane is also keeping them and ourselves sane is also a big part of it.
with twins, actually, it is like that, that I don't know how those 2-3 years went. It's only when they were 3, I actually was, consciously thinking about things. Until that, it was just eat, sleep, and just be alive. Yeah, so when they were around 3, I started looking at schools. I was told that if you have to get into a good school, you should be doing their admission between December and Jan, so that by June, when the school starts, you're, ready, you're set. And I did that. I started looking for schools, and I was not happy. Neither of us were happy. My husband and we both were having concerns, either regarding the fees of the school, the location, I mean, the distance from our house, or what are they teaching in the school, the curriculum or the syllabus. And I was like, how does a 3-year-old require a fee structure, or uh, a, a school year requires a fee structure of 1.5 lakhs. I mean, what are they going to do to my child? Which Einstein are they going to create out of my child with, in that 1 year? And then, okay, fine. We are living in a city. The city life requires all those, the requirements of the city is according to the status of life there. So fine, the fees are good. But then, is the distance good? Are we getting safety? When we considered all those factors, we were not confident that, this is the right thing to do. So then we said, okay, no, we just can't be those people who are not finding the right fit anywhere. So let's go to the school, let's talk to people. And we did go to. So one thing I was very clear was, the school has to be within a range where I can go and pick them anytime I want. So it has to be close to home. And we found a very good school close to home. It was an alternative school. And we were very happy with it. Then we visited the school and we spoke to them. We were asked to spend a day in school, and we did that. And when I saw their one day at school, I was like, I do this at home daily. This is what I do. My day goes just like this. Then why should I send them to school? And I was like, I save myself that time of, getting them ready, sending them to school, packing their lunch, and then getting them back, and then doing the whole thing. So, okay, fine, nursery, ghar pe, we'll do it at home. And then,
Yeah, and you
yeah,
have to wake them
by
early in
then,
the morning, even if they don't want to get up.
yes,
And then,
and
yeah,
exactly that was one thing I didn't like.
yeah, and then you
So
do the
by then
same
I
thing.
was every day. I mean, you have to do it every day.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, around when they were 3.5, we were also started, getting this schooling thing a little more seriously, and we were looking out for, okay, forget nursery and all that. So there's something, I don't know, some kind of um, gyan in Bangalore, which says that if you want your child to go to a good school, then you should pick the school right from preschooling, so that your, admission is smooth right into first standard and all that. So you need to pick a good school. You can't just put them into any small institute now and then shift them to a better school later. So then we were seriously considering schools. Um, I I am from a small city. I don't know much about. I didn't know much about Bangalore. When I went to Bangalore, it was for work, and most of my life was gone only in, going to office and coming back home, and uh, traveling maybe. So I was not very aware of what kind of schools are available in Bangalore and why are they different and what are the syllabuses new coming up. I was very new to all this Waldorf, Montessori, and all such new era of education completely. So um, so we went. I mean, as a uh, the current generation mom, I went to Facebook and online searches to find the best school for my kids. So when I was in Facebook, I found this group called Bangalore Schools, and I used to just follow their posts. I should just read their posts. So many posts came up with this term called as homeschooling. Why don't you consider homeschooling? And some conversations coming back to the word homeschooling. So I started researching homeschooling. And finding about what is this thing called as homeschooling. Do you get the whole setup of school at home and follow the same thing, or what is it that you do? I mean, I don't want to be a teacher at home. I don't want to limit my kids to only each other as company. And that actually led to a big um, learning for us as parents. We met the homeschooling community in Bangalore. We met a lot of homeschoolers, and we attended a few sessions where it was about how I mean, something like this,
Yeah.
but not online, in
Yeah.
person, how a homeschooling
We
family
also wish
functions
it
and
was
what are
in
their fears.
person.
Yeah, so how it differs from each person, how did they grow up, and there were very good talks that I attended then. This was back in 2015, I think so, 14 or 15. And one of those talks, and actually few of those meets and then one session, made it clear for me and my husband that we are not sending our kids to school unless they themselves ask for it anytime in their life. Once we made that decision, we have never looked back.
I guess everyone just it's just that phase. Once you make the decision, no one is really ready to look back until and unless their kids really want to go back to school.
Yeah, I mean, see, this was the thought process then, when we were considering schools and all that. But now as a parent, I would say my kids themselves don't feel like they should go to school. I mean, they are 7.5, almost 8 now. And we ask this question every year. I mean, we have kept this option for them every year. Every year around December, we ask them, do you want to go to school? If yes, I can start the admission process. I'll have to look for schools which will admit you, and we'll have to go through a small process to get you admitted. But the option is open, and they're like, no, not yet, not yet. And I don't think it will ever come to yes now, but the option is still open.
Yeah. Okay. So at around 4, when your kids were 4, so you were sure you would not want to send them to school.
Yeah, much before that, yes.
Around 3, in between 3 and 4, almost.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
you like, did you decide on homeschooling, like, with a curriculum, or did you just decide at the beginning you would go into child-led learning kind of a thing, or how did you choose? What would you do at that time?
So yes, when I did learn the term homeschooling, I was not sure what it entails, and I have asked I wouldn't say stupid, but right now it sounds like that. It's so-called stupid questions, saying that what are the books for homeschooling and what is the curriculum for homeschooling, and who can I connect with to know more, and all such things. Until I understood that homeschooling is not just a syllabus, it's a way of life.
Life. Yes. So did you begin like with a curriculum, or did you how did you start?
We never.
Yeah.
So when the kids were 3, there was chaos every day. I mean, I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. So both had their own mindsets of what they wanted to do every day. And I had I wouldn't say understanding, or a rough to-do list of, at 3-year-old, you should be able to do this. So we should
This
try
is
this, we should try that. So I did have that. And that chaos went on, I think, I don't know, for about a year. Along with that, also what happened was we
yeah. Yes,
hello.
yeah. Tell me. We can hear you.
Yeah,
There was
sorry.
someone on unmute.
Okay. Yeah. So after that consideration that okay, we need to get this done, get that done. Then we were set. What happened in that time was, other than homeschooling, we also met a lot of individuals which opened our lives to different kinds of living, like holistic living, sustainable living, natural living, which are all part of our life now. But then it was more of, we needed to understand this. We have just lived. We have not, lived naturally or holistically or any other termed living. So we needed to understand, where do we fit in? I mean, how has the world evolved, and where are we? What kind of life we want? That is when we actually used to visit a lot of other homeschoolers or unschoolers, visit a lot of farms, visit natural building workshops and such. So apart from homeschooling, we both were learning a lot of things and unlearning a lot of things. Um, when my husband, he already had a idea of what kind of a house he would want to build when he builds his own house. So he was very um, intent in building a house that is run on free energy. um, that was his passion. And so that also led us to going searching people online, whose passions align with ours, and then we used to visit them, find out their journey, what are their concerns right now, what would they do differently if they had a chance, so that we don't end up doing the same mistakes. And yes, all that was a learning along with doing the homeschooling or unschooling for our kids,
Okay.
which actually helped us a lot, because at this point, if we are at right now and saying that we are happy with our life, it all led to it.
Yes, I mean, when the end is good, the whole journey is worth it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so around this time, around four, so you didn't choose a syllabus, or you just so what were you doing with the kids when they were around four?
Like I said, we used to visit a lot of farms. There's a farm in Telangana that we had visited. I don't remember the name right now. Then in Sakleshpur, there was the wild side, which belongs to our friends. I mean, our friends, because they were also unschoolers then. So we became friends, and then we used to visit their farm. Their farm was an off-grid place, completely solar powered. They had built a mud house. All that was very exciting for us. I mean, to even imagine living something other than a city life. Um, so also we traveled. I mean, we did those short trips, and going to new places, coming back home here. So the days when we were in Bangalore, in at home, I used to do everything, from Pinterest activities to whatever I felt like doing, and cultivating my own garden. And the kids were part of everything of this. Plus, we used to attend as much as possible the all homeschooling meets, which were, for possible for us to attend, because we were not always in the heart of the city. We actually moved out of the city. We moved to a small village in Bangalore called Kodati, which is considered outskirts, I would say. It's towards Sarjapur. And traveling from there to anywhere would take like 2-3 hours. So, but wherever possible, we have gone to attend all the homeschooling meets, hosted homeschooling and meetups at our house. Um, Gone to sessions conducted by other people, like natural building sessions with the kids. Everything was with the kids. We have never gone to or explored anything where we have left the kids um, at home or with someone. It's always with the kids. So they were part of our learning journey.
Now, I guess everyone's most dreaded question will be, okay, you did all this, you were going around with your kids and all. What did you do for your kids to learn to read or write? Or did you teach them alphabet? Did you teach them how to read, how to write? That's the most, I don't know, asked question that I get all the time. So what would you like to say about that?
I did that. I mean, I did the I did the mistake of getting cursive writing books and activity books, and I don't know what are they called, some sort of, the planned approach of learning to read and
Yeah.
write. Phonics books, yes,
Phonics,
phonics books. Yes, I did all that. I collected them from friends. I bought them online. I went to bookstores and found out all these early learning sections and picked up from there. But I don't know, I wouldn't say it lasted more than 1 week. So I used to initially collect the books thinking when the kids are of the right age, I will start it. And I think around this time, 3.5, um, for us adults to unlearn is very difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
we have 30 years of things filled in us that it should be this way. So despite us attending unschooling sessions, homeschooling sessions, talking to unschoolers, we had this fear in us that how will our kids learn unless we teach them? And that is why my fear led me to get all those books, get all those resources. And um, I did the online phonics sessions to understand, listen to videos to understand how should I teach my kids. So my learning part doesn't matter. I mean, it was a learning for me. It is useful for me and as well as the kids still. But when I tried to put that knowledge into the kids, that's when I found resistance. At 3.5, even at 4, even at 5, when I tried this, just to see what is their reaction, or how do they feel about it, I always got resistance from them. The books that I got, hardly one line is written on it, and that line was written with a lot of pain. I mean, I could see in their eyes that why is mommy making us do this? Why can't she just understand that I would rather play or I would rather run than writing this? And I don't know, I remember clearly. I don't remember how long that, me asking them to learn to read and write, me having those small sessions of today let's sit and write A or B, or let's do these slant lines or whatever it is. I don't know how long that session went, maybe a couple of weeks or so. But I clearly remember one evening when Avin was at work, and we were at home, dinner was ready and everything. We were just waiting for him to come home. And I had these matching cursive writing books open, and both the kids were sitting in front of me. And I was asking them to write. And father comes in, Avin comes in home. He comes and sits in front, and I had given very strict instructions. Unless you finish writing this one line, you're not getting up. You're not getting up for anything. No water, no susu break, nothing. Just finish writing one line. And I could see that, they just wanted to run and hug him like they always do. But I had chosen that time to sit there and write that cursive, and I had given very strict instructions that you'll not get up. And they already had tears in their eyes, saying that it was not about writing, it was about my instructions to them, that we're not getting to do what we want. And after that, next day when I asked them to get your books, they didn't even want to get the books. They both were looking at each other, and they were looking at me and saying, no mom, no mommy. And I was like, okay, you know what, let me take a break today, I'll do it tomorrow. But that day I sat and I was thinking, why no? I mean, why would a child say no for writing? This is the age. Every child going to school is writing. Children their age in the neighborhood, they're writing whole page because that's their homework. Why are my children saying no? And things came back to me, the things that I heard, that had learned from other parents, that don't force your child. Why are you forcing them? When the learning has to happen, it will happen. My children are 7.5 now. They know to write their alphabets and numbers. They know basic addition. They don't know to read yet comprehensively. I mean, they can read sounds and they can read alphabets and make 3-letter words and such. And sometimes they completely surprise me and read a 8-letter word also very clearly without any help from me or any other adult. So I can see that within a year or so, they will pick up their reading easily. I have never sat with them to read. I mean, we help them if they come up with reading, and we have given them a book which We ask them, if you want to learn to read, you can refer this book, but I don't sit with them.
So all this happened around 4 years when you decided you just let them be.
No, since then to now, we have not done any of the
Sitting
sit and learn approach. I mean, no. Yeah.
Okay, so do you like consciously have any I don't know, the kind of environment that you would set up in your house so that, I don't know, like keep some books or something like that, so that they would be able to read whenever they want to, or something like that? Like consciously setting up the environment.
Actually, right now right now the focus is not on learning at all. I mean, not writing, reading, learning at all.
Academic learning.
Yeah, academic, not even 1%. I mean, I don't care if they don't even touch a book the whole day. I don't even ask them. I want them to play. I just want them to play. We moved to a farm so that they could be outdoors the whole day. They could have muddy clothes and dirty feet, and just be the way kids should be, so that I don't have to worry that they lost their childhood, and when they are 30 they are sitting in a room and wondering what happened to my life. So
Okay.
right now academics is not at all my priority, but there is curiosity from the kids' end. I mean, they are curious, so they see me writing. I write a lot. I like to write. Actually my blogs are not much on the blog because they are in a book.
Okay.
I am one of those people who like to physically write things rather than type or do the voice recording or such. So my blogs are all in a book, and when I sit to write, they see me writing and they ask me, "Mommy, what are you writing?" So it could be a to-do list, it could be a recipe, it could be a blog, it could be anything. So they know that writing is somewhere part of the life. But on the other hand, my husband doesn't write at all because he works and he always has a laptop in front of him. So my son has understood that you don't have to really have a pen and paper to write. If you want to write, you can even use electronic media. He is a faster typer than a writer, my son. Whereas my daughter, she doesn't prefer the pen, she prefers the paintbrush to write.
Yes.
So they both have their own way of learning, and learning happens in different ways, but the focus is still not on academics. So there is no force for them to do any activity or anything, any part of the day. I think, when they are 12, I will evaluate it. That doesn't mean that I will not be evaluating all this time. I mean, on the back of the mind, there is you every day judge or you check your child's progress. But what I'm doing is consciously not commenting on doing anything about it, because right now the focus is not that.
So now you don't plan any part of the day. It's just they get up and they want to do what they want to do. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, right now it's just free. I mean, we have no or rather I would say, some time back what happened is they came to us saying that there are some things that they want to do which they are not able to do on their own. So they need a little adult support. So they come up with activities that they want to do. Like my son wants to build a water level controller. I don't know if everyone knows what it is. So every house has a tank, right? Usually.
Tank, yes.
And in villages, we usually have this tank where we have to fill it up. So we turn on the motor, we wait until the tank overflows. When the water falls, we go and turn off the tank. So what my son wants to do, I mean, this is already existing, but he wants to build his own water level controller so that when the water reaches that level, the motor automatically turns off.
Automatically, yeah.
So I don't know why a 7.5-year-old wants to do it, but he wants to do it and he needs little support. So this is today's request, that I want to do this. I need someone's help to figure out how to get it done. Whereas my daughter 2 days back wanted to bake a cake and she wanted my help to turn on the stove and put the oven on. Other things she would do it. So these are the small projects that they plan and they ask for our help. Otherwise, I don't know generally where they are. I mean, on a rough average, I know that they are on the farm, but I don't know which part of the farm they are from morning to evening. They could be anywhere. They come home for lunchtime, they go out, they come home for dinner time. Sometimes they tell me that they are going to have a sleepover in their house or here, but they are on their own.
Okay, so now there's a drastic change from what you were thinking when they were 3, 4 years old to what your mentality is when they are around now, 7.5 years old. Can you just tell our viewers what was that one thing that really helped you to change that mindset, to change that, okay, from thinking academics is important, or looking at your surroundings, you think academics is important, looking at, like you said, your neighbor's kids can write one page but your child is unable to write, from that mindset to now you don't to now where you say, okay, let the neighbor's child write 100 pages, it's okay even if my child is not able to write a page. He has learned so much. So means they learn. I mean, we all know children learn even without teaching, even without any great motive. They learn. They are always learning. It's just that they might not learn what we want them to learn. So how did that mindset, like from this end to the other end of the spectrum, what is that changed you so much? Like what is that one I don't know, one thing that made you think or change completely from one side of the spectrum to the other? Because see, everyone are going to be sailing in the same boat. Everyone, like you said, when they start homeschooling, unschooling, even if they know a lot of things about unschooling, homeschooling, and they say, okay, trust your child, but it is very difficult. Like, I guess maybe because we were never trusted, or it is so difficult to trust a 3-year-old because they look so tiny. So trusting becomes difficult, where we tend to interfere in their learning. We tell them, you have to learn ABCD, you have to learn 1, 2, 3. So we do all this, but it takes time for us to understand that it's okay to trust a child. So how did that shift come about? Like what did you do, or what is that one thing that made you change or shift your thinking?
I don't say it's one thing. It could be many things actually, because uh, when you listen to a lot of homeschoolers or unschoolers, and you also read a lot about those people who don't know this term homeschooling, unschooling at all. They exist in our society. All over the world, they exist. These are people of those homes who didn't get the proper guidance from their parents or the society, but they had a drive to succeed in life. And when I say succeed in life, I don't mean to become a millionaire or a billionaire. To be able as an adult to provide for oneself as well as care for your society. So for me, that is successful. If you can take care of yourself as an adult and also give back to the society, because you're a human being, you're not an animal. So if we can do that for every adult, that's a successful human being. And if you look at all those people who don't know homeschooling or unschooling but have been successful in their life, you will understand that schooling had no part of it. It was not schooling that made them successful. It was not unschooling that made them successful. It was just this desire of a human being to do something in their life, which every one of us have it. It doesn't matter you send your child to a state board school, or you send it to a business IB school, or you send them abroad for schooling, or you keep them in your farm and not send them to school at all. I mean, life changes. There are opportunities that you get or not get, and there are things that might happen or not happen in your life. But as a human being, despite all these circumstances, everyone wants to do something in their life.
Okay,
And
just
if you
hold on
let
that
a
thought.
person, generally you
Just
see, so the society doesn't let the person be.
Yes, just hold on that thought. The Zoom meeting is ending. Click on the same link to join again, okay, in a minute, okay? Click on the
Okay.
same link. Let's just